I'm not going to answer the question.
Why would you answer that question?
The question is, the question is,
Justice, radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe? Who's on your list?
Right, gentlemen, I think
this is so unprecedented.
He's going to pack the court.
We have ended.
No, going to give a list.
We have ended this segment. We're going to move on to the second segment.
That was really a productive segment, wasn't it? Keep yapping, man.
The people understand, Joe.
It's that time of year again. What better way to celebrate two old men trying to gain as much power as possible by promising you things that they don't plan on delivering? Takebacksies with legendary humans. Sounds about right. Let's dive in. So clearly the legendary humans are in charge. The old men are at the top of the ladder. Which old man? It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter which old man. Core of the deck here, we've got General Kudro of Drannith. But before we get to that, let's actually get to what the deck is doing. So we're running 3 Niambi Esteemed Speakers, 4 copies of Barrin Tolarian Archmage, and 2 Thassa Deep Dwelling. Now, this engine, what it allows us to do is either flicker our own creatures out of play and back into play, triggering abilities on entering the battlefield, or returning our own creatures to our hand so that we can recast them and again re-trigger their enter the battlefield abilities. It's really, really cool how many cards we can do this with and how effective it is. So obviously Barrin comes into play, bounces anything we want. If we bounce our own thing, we get to draw cards. You know, Niambi comes into play. She can only bounce our own creatures, but we gain life, and she can come into play with flash. So we're running 4 Acquisitions Experts, 4 Charming Princes, and 4 Skyclave Apparitions. Now, the Acquisitions Expert's going to make them discard cards from their hands. The Charming Prince is going to allow us to reuse any of our enters the battlefield abilities. And the Skyclave's Apparitions are going to allow us to remove threats on their side of the board that cost 4 or less. And there's some really, really interesting things you can do because, you know, if they try to target one of your creatures with removal, you can flash in Niambi, return that creature to your hand, and they wasted their removal spell. Then you can replay that creature and re-trigger its abilities, whether it be discard or removal or any number of things with the Charming Prince. You can also then play Barrin, return your own Niambi to your hand, draw a card off of the Barrin, and then have her prime to be flash in to do it all over again, which gets insane. We also don't mind running a ton of legendary cards in the deck because if we get extra copies, we can discard the extras to Niambi's other ability, which is pay 3 tap, discard a legendary card to draw 2 cards. So we don't even mind if we're drawing into a second or sometimes even third copy of a legendary creature because we could just discard them to Niambi and keep drawing into even more valuable cards after that. There's just so much you can do with this. General Kudro giving all of your humans +1/+1 is kind of the glue that puts it all together, because everything in the deck is a human, with the exception of a Skyclave Apparition, Thassa Deep Dwelling, and our 1 Legion Angel. Now, Legion Angel's in this, obviously, because it's just insane value. You drop the 1, you have the other copies in the sideboard, and it just generates tons of value. Getting 3 or 4 4/3 flyers out of 1 card is just insane value. So we put the 1 of in the deck, we put the rest in the sideboard, it's good to go. Thassa and Skyclave Apparition are in it for obvious reasons. We need the removal, and Thassa's a blink. Blink ability is just insane with all of the enters the battlefield triggers we have. We're also running 2 copies of Atris Oracle of Half-Truths, because it also has insane enters the battlefield abilities. And it's also a legendary creature, a legendary human at that. So there's another through line here where we have 2 Atrises, 4 Barrins, 3 General Kudros, 3 Niambis. Like, we have a ton of legendary humans, and then we play General's Enforcer. We run 4 copies here because we want to make sure we can keep one on the field, and a lot of times they'll prioritize it with removal because it's making all of our other creatures indestructible. You pop this baby down, all of a sudden Niambi's indestructible. Barrin's indestructible. Kudro's indestructible. You know what I mean? Atris is indestructible. Thassa is indestructible to begin with. And they're going to have to try really, really hard to get rid of your threats. And what's awesome is they try to get rid of General's Enforcer, and then you flash in Niambi, and you save it. You return General's Enforcer back to your hand, and then you replay it on your turn. And you just keep creating so many headaches for them that it's crazy. You can just keep doing insane stuff. Like, as long as you have a Barrin on the field, every time you return something to your own hand, you're drawing more cards. Like, you can use Thassa to blink a Charming Prince, so that when it comes back into play, you can blink a Barrin, so that on their turn, after they play their permanents, you can then bounce one of their creatures when it comes back. Just all sorts of crazy shenanigans you can do with this deck. It's also worth noting, we've got 4 rogues here, 3 clerics, 4 wizards here. We've got, where is it? A warrior here. And then we've got 4 Glasspool Mimics in our mana base, which are also rogues and or other classes, depending on what we copy. So we actually have a decent ability to have Acquisitions Expert ability hit for 2, 3, sometimes if we're lucky, even 4, and really pull the big threats out of their hand. And if you combine that with the fact that you're blinking it with Charming Prince, you're blinking it with Thassa, you're returning it with Niambi, you're replaying it, you're returning it with Barrin, you're replaying it, you're drawing more cards, like, you're pulling so many cards out of their hand that a lot of times they just completely run out of gas before they can even deal with you. And you can do those same sorts of shenanigans with Skyclave Apparition, like constantly blinking Skyclave Apparition or bouncing Skyclave Apparition back to your hand to save it if they're trying to, like, exile it or kill it their own way, and then replaying the Skyclave Apparition, getting extra triggers off it, eating extra copies of permanents on their side, and then even if they do get tokens, a lot of times you can keep the tokens under control because you're playing a bunch of legendary creatures that have indestructible, and if you can't, you can just return a Barrin or flicker a Barrin, return the permanent, the token to their hand, and it doesn't actually go back to their hand because it's a token. So it's insane how much you can kind of reuse all of these creatures. You can reuse your Skyclave Apparitions to remove more threats, and then reuse your Barrins to get rid of the token creatures that are created by bouncing or flickering your own Skyclave Apparitions. And it all comes together into a nice, perfect storm pile of feel-good yummy. And I love it. We're also running 4 copies of Dire Tactics because there's tons of humans in the deck. The whole deck is mostly humans. So we can exile any creature for 2 mana at instant speed, and it's absolutely nuts. The Glasspool Mimics I brought up earlier are insane because they can come in and they can copy a Skyclave Apparition or a Prince or an Acquisitions Expert or a General's Enforcer if we're worried about them killing the one we have on the field with removal. Make a second copy. Or if we desperately need to get our next Legion Angel in hand, we can copy the Legion Angel, you know? Like, we can get a lot of value off it that way. But also what's really interesting is once the Glasspool Mimic's in play, we can flicker it with Thassa or Charming Prince and then turn it into a different creature. So we might play it and copy Acquisitions Expert to pull more cards out of their hand, and then all of a sudden their hand is empty, and we can blink it with Charming Prince or Thassa and have it come back in this time as like a Skyclave Apparition to kill something that's on the field. Or if we're desperate enough, we can copy Barrin, even though we'll lose one of them. We get another trigger, we turn something to their hand. Like, there's just so much we can do, it gets insane. And if we're desperate, we can sacrifice some of our smaller humans like Charming Prince, Acquisitions Expert, or the tokens that we make with General's Enforcer. We can sacrifice them to General Kudro's final ability, which is sacrifice 2 humans, destroy a creature with power 4 or greater to get rid of even bigger threats. It's just, there's so many ways for all of the cards in this deck to interact with all of the other cards in this deck, and it's super interesting, it's super engaging, and it's just really, really fun to pilot. The final card we have here is just 1 copy of Agadeem's Awakening. Really, really good in a deck like this. A little bit hard to pull off, which is why we only have 1, because of the triple black, but if you get desperate and you're running out of gas and it's in the late game and you have the mana for it and you end up drawing into this Agadeem's Awakening, being able to bring back any one of our 2-drops plus one of our 3-drops, and sometimes even like a Thassa or an Atris, like all with one card, just does insane amounts for this deck. And there's just so much value that it's hard for a lot of other decks to deal with. Also, super proud that I'm making a Blink deck without Yorion, because there's way too much Yorion out there and we don't need it. So this deck's freaking awesome. Let's check out the games. It's gonna be fun. Alright, we will keep this. It's a little weird, we have no blue. It could go south really quick. But we gonna try. All right, so we'll play the pathway for black. We'll play Acquisitions Expert. We are acquiring. Play the Drannith Healer. Okay, Cycling. Wonderful. Sure. I like getting rid of a Valiant Rescuer. Probably because it's cycling 2, and he doesn't plan on playing it out. Blue. Become 2/3. Do we need to Dire Tactics? I think we need to Dire Tactics. Let's swing first. See if we can get him to trade. Then we're gonna Dire Tactics. That way he has to waste another turn getting out some kind of cycling payoff. That's the goal. If we draw another land, we can make him discard another card. Theoretically. We may want to wait till he gets lower though. Till he gets closer to his Zenith Flare. So that's how he's going to beat us, the Zenith Flare. Alright, play that. Do we want blue or white? That's the question. Because of our hand, I think white. But if we draw into a Barrin, we're going to be sad. Then again, Barrin is probably the least useful card to us right now. We'll swing with the Expert. Doesn't want us to attack. He's not letting us, chat. Alright, there we go. We'll swing. We're gonna wait one more turn to try to do our Niambi Dire Tactics shenanigans. We're just gonna play out a Legion Angel this turn. Get some pressure on the field. Get him to have to deal with it. We want him to get lower on cards. If we can get him down to 2 or 3, we'll be in really good shape. Especially if Legion Angel's still down. If we get him down to 3, and then on his turn, Niambi, return Expert, and then on our turn play the Expert, he has to show us 3 cards. And then we get rid of a Zenith Flare. So we just need to get him lower on cards in hand. If we can hit that first Zenith Flare and get it out of his hand, that's pretty much game. He's not going to be able to come out on top at that point. Alright, we're going to swing. 4/5. Next to damage. He's not going to get down to 3 yet. I think we just keep putting pressure on the field for now. We're going to force him to have to use the Zenith Flare to kill some of our board state. Man, Legion Angel is so good. Just as a one-off. Well then, let's try swinging. We're going to get him to 4, which means he has to Zenith Flare. We're going to do Thassa. Thassa lets us retrigger Expert without having to waste our Niambi trick. We want to save that for when he's at 3 cards still. But in the meantime, we can just do this. Try and get him down to 3 cards. Fox and a Rescuer. Get rid of the Rescuer. He needs chump blockers more than anything, I think. This is a cheaper cycle, but we kind of want him to get rid of the cards in his hand. That's not enough. Does he not have a Zenith Flare? He should have Zenith Flared then, so we could gain a bunch of life. Oh, he's got 2 Shredded Sails. He's trying to save it. Alright. Alright. Play it for black, since we don't have a Barrin. Play. We want to hold up Niambi as a trick, right? So we want that for General Kudro. And then we want to get rid of something with cycling. Doesn't matter what. Swing for 2. End turn. We'll go Acquisitions Expert. Take another card out of his hand and get another cycling card out of his graveyard. Hey, what's going on, Sea Daddy? Thanks for coming and hanging out. We're just chilling on Arena, having a good time. This is my deck in honor of the election. Because what could be closer to our current day election than take-backsies with legendary humans? Right? Good old take-backsies with the legendary humans. Yep, he's gonna Zenith Flare me. It's fine. Now what we need to do is flash in Niambi. Get rid of a cycling card. Return Acquisitions Expert to our hand. And now we should be able to get rid of whatever he has in his hand this turn. Get rid of another cycling card. Show me 2, please. And that last card is definitely a Zenith Flare. Swing in for 6. End turn. We'll hit the Acquisitions Expert. We'll take another card out of his hand and get rid of another card from his graveyard. Goodbye, Zenith Flare. Perfectly played. This deck is all about bouncing our own shit back to our hand and replaying it. Thus the take-backsies. And then augmenting that with Thassa because we can blink stuff, which is kind of the same thing. But we're using like Niambi and Barrin. Just doing a whole bunch of shenanigans. And a lot of them are legendary humans, so like General Kudro and General's Enforcer are great together. It's actually doing really well. But knocking that Zenith Flare out of his hand probably killed him. He has to get really lucky and top deck one. And mathematically he shouldn't. Even if he does, he doesn't have the mana this turn. And we rip it out of his hand again. We'll Dire Tactics. We'll Temple of Silence. Sure, we'll keep her. We're gonna Atris. Draw some cards. Get rid of a thing. Because General Kudro. Glorious legendary humans. So fun. So fun. Gotta fix the lighting in here. Charming Prince and Niambi, or whatever this is. Yeah, we'll pick that. That's fine. We don't want the land. Swing it all. Get him to 2. What do we want to blink? I guess Atris. Get rid of another cycling card. If he top decks a Zenith Flare, he does still win. We just need to survive one more turn. I mean, we couldn't play Barrin anyway. We didn't have the blue. So I'm actually happy with that. Come on, do not top deck a Zenith Flare. Okay. Well, that's not enough. We're gonna swing for the win. That is not gonna work, friend. Wow. This deck is fun as hell. This is fine. We'll lead with the plains. That leaves us options moving forward. We probably just play turn 2 Swamp Charming Prince. Turn 3 Pathway as blue. And then we can hold up Niambi for Charming Prince, which seems pretty decent. Everything needs white though, so Plains goes down first. Come on, Eugene. I want to look at you. Scary. Eugene is scary. Hi. Hello. Chose to mulligan to 6, and then keep. But apparently he doesn't want to play. Alright. Turn Timber Symbiosis, huh? Alright. That's fine. Charming Prince, we will scry. Make sure we draw all things that are good. Do it that way. We've already got a Kudro. The Acquisitions Expert will be good though. It will be good. In fact, I think I'm just going to do it now. Yes, we'll keep the Legion Angel. The Harbinger has hexproof from black, so we kind of needed to do it that way. We're going to chump it with the Charming Prince this turn, because we don't want him to draw another card. We don't want him to find another threat by getting through. So we chump it with Charming Prince, we keep the Expert alive. And then next turn we have Dire Tactics and Niambi. So what we can do is we can block with the Acquisitions Expert next turn. Alright, so here's what we do. We chump block the Harbinger so he doesn't draw any more cards. We take 4. We're going to drop the land. We need black, blue, white, white. So we gotta drop this as blue. We are going to pass turn. Now here's the plan. He swings in. We block the Harbinger with the Expert. We Dire Tactics the Questing Beast. And then we flash in Niambi and return the Expert to our hand, rather than having it die to the Harbinger. And then on our next turn, we can replay the Expert and get rid of anything we want. Because this will be a Cleric in play as well. Alright, so we'll start with Dire Tactics then. Swings in, we'll pass the blockers, we'll block. Then we'll flash in Niambi, bring this boy back. Now we are in good shape. We want General Kudro out, so we need 2 black. Boom. Boom. We get rid of his last card. And then we play General Kudro. We get rid of the Great Henge. No attacks. We actually want to block with Niambi because we have another one. So we don't mind. Oh, that feels good. That feels real good. Play out the Enforcer. Get rid of Gemrazor. Swing in. Which is this guy. Because now it has Indestructible. And then we Hold back General Kudro, because it also has indestructible. Solve that. It's good stuff. Solve that. Pass to attackers. We'll just go my turn. Play a temple. We do not want land. Next to combat, we will swing in with General Kudro. Pretty good. Play out the Legion Angel. Find another Legion Angel. We are on board with some serious power. Legion Angel's just too good not to play in an aggressive white deck, or a mid-range white deck, or even a control white deck. Pretty much anything that's playing white, unless it specifically is counter to that deck's strategy, or the deck is so tight that it just can't even make room for one card. But all you need to do is just make room for one card, and it's just so much. It's just so much. It provides so much value. Next to combat, we'll swing with the flyer. And we will swing with one indestructible guy. If he doesn't block, this puts him on a 2-turn clock. Alright, he called our bluff. Could replay? No. We'll just do this. Some more. And end the turn. If we're desperate, we can sack our General Kudro and our Acquisitions Expert. Or our Niambi to kill something. Let him draw a card with Bonder's Enclave. I like this deck a lot. Inscription of Abundance. He wants to fight. No. I mean, it does put us in a little bit of an awkward position this turn, but we'll be right back next turn. definitely want to block, right? I'd rather take my turn. Let's trade with the Legion Angel here. Replay the Enforcer. Get rid of the Harbinger. Play up the Legion Angel. Swing in. Now we're in real good shape. We have 2 indestructible blockers. He could have drawn removal. But the problem is, if he did draw removal, he needs to kill the Legion Angel. Good game. Good game.
You don't respect nature? We're gonna have a problem. Beauty lies in variation.
Vivian is gonna help. But not enough, I don't think. Do we have any abilities that we want to trigger? Well, let's do this. Play the Expert. Get rid of all sorts of things. We'll go. What do we do here? We go. Can't do that, can we? Can't do that. Guess we just get rid of Vivian. Yeah. He kills 1 Legion Angel with the Beast, but we'll get rid of all of his reach this way.
I didn't expect to be prey.
Get rid of Gemraiser. Exile Niambi. Target a creature we control. We don't want to return anything, right? Decline. We need to go wide so we can swing in. We just need Niambi untapped. That way we have indestructible blockers. Another Vivian.
A world of monsters. This is my paradise.
1, 2, 3,
Every
4.
day is a
It doesn't matter.
invitation.
We have enough damage. We have enough damage now. Just go in. That should be it. 3 have to hit him. Nice. Very nice. Sure. Keep that. Lead with a temple. That's fine. Play this for black. Play a General's Enforcer, I guess. I could have played the Acquisitions Expert, but it doesn't do as much here. Swing for 2. Play the Acquisitions Expert. Make him discard something. I'm gonna play this out. I want to hit 4 land. That seems pretty good. Play out Niambi. Sure. Like, there's an argument to be made that I should have kept the Enforcer around and not bounced the Expert. But I really just want to go to town with the discard here. We have so much discard lined up. Alright, so we will Acquisitions Expert. Get rid of it. And then we will Charming Prince. Get rid of it. It's got 2 cards left. That feels pretty good. Plays a Doom Foretold. It's not worth as much now. Crack this for a black. Play General Kudro. Get rid of ECD. In case he has Dance of the Manse. Swing in for 3. End the turn. He has to sack his Doom Foretold. Feels pretty good. We get to hold up a Dire Tactics. That also feels pretty good. Sure. Resolve. We get an Apparition, we get it back, which will be nice. Nope. Might as well have him untapped. We will scry. Barrin seems okay here. We can actually draw into cards. So what we'll do next turn is we'll Barrin the Charming Prince back to our hand, and then replay it. Sure. He is scrying too. I think we're just going to try to keep the pressure on and Dire Tactics the Charming Prince. It also gives him one less thing to Yorion when he decides to cast Yorion. Otherwise we would just save the Dire Tactics for Yorion, which I don't think is, I think that's too slow here. You know, I think we need to just go for it. So we're going to swing 4. We're going to Barrin. Return a Charming Prince. Then we'll play a Charming Prince. We're going to exile the other Charming Prince. End of turn, we'll draw a card. Exile. We'll exile the other Charming Prince. That way we can exile Barrin when it comes back to our turn if we want to, and return something to his hand. Dire Tactics. Swing. Play the Temple. Sure. Barrin comes back in. Returns a Charming Prince. Nice. We got there. TAKEBACKSIES with legendary humans, because you're bouncing your things back to your hand, you're taking them back and replaying them while gaining power off legendary humans. So it's TAKEBACKSIES with legendary humans. That's the deck we played. And happy election day, I guess, to whichever old man makes it in, whichever old man you voted for. I hope you're happy. I hope it works. I hope it works out well for you. Anyway, give this deck a like, maybe, and subscribe somewhere here-ish, and then check out other decks somewhere over there. And until next time, always make them scoop.